Several years ago, when my oldest was 6, I think that was 2008, I was fussing with the automatic garage door opener from your car to the garage door. And we had gotten a new car, or a newer car, and I was struggling with the remote component of getting the car to communicate with the garage door overhead. And it turned out that I needed to get a ladder and push the button on the garage door overhead component. And it was a pain in the neck, and I was getting irritated and volatile, kind of like I am right now, just thinking about it. But at that point, my son had come into the garage, and Luke had said to me, he's like, "Dad, what are you doing?" I said, "Luke, get up on the ladder and push that button when I tell you." He's like, "All right, but why do you?" I said, "Luke, don't worry about it. I'll tell you when to push it." So I backed the car out of the garage, about halfway into the garage, halfway out of the garage, so he has room with the ladder to go up and push the button when I tell him. So he gets to the top of the ladder, and he says, "Dad, can you just wait a second?" I said, "What, Luke?" He's like, "If I push this button and it works, the garage door is going to come down on the car." And I'm like, "Fine." And I back the car out of the garage, realizing that my son is right. Now, it's not that my son, who was 6 at the time, was a genius. He was calm. He was calculated, and he was thinking of what was going to happen when, in fact, he pushed that button and if it worked. Whereas his dad, who comes across unintelligent, was struggling with the fact that, okay, yeah, if that button, if it does work, the garage door is going to come down on me. So what you have here, folks, is someone teaching another person patience and maybe calmness, and maybe objectivity, and maybe responsiveness instead of reaction. And that's exactly what's happened most of my life. That volatility exceeded my intellect. And when that happens, chaos happens. But when your intellect is in control of your emotion, you have harmony, or at least peace. Earlier that year, I had said to Luke a number of times, when Betty, my wife, was asking for this or saying me to do this or this, that, and I said to Luke, a happy wife is a happy life. And it's true for most of the married men out there, but sometimes we get ahead of ourselves and want things our way, when in fact, by doing it their way, it's just as easy and it's more peaceful. Sometimes we realize that later on, and other times we don't realize it at all. But in this case, I made it a point to say that to Luke. And I would say months later, I was buckling him in to his seat. And I think JP was 4 at the time. And I was talking back to Betty and just aggravated. "Yes, I'm going to do this. Yes." I'm like, "Cheapers, creepers. Yes, I'll take care of it." And Luke said to me, "Dad, a happy wife is a happy life." So he retained that, and he understood the frustration that I was going through and tried to make light of the situation in a certain respect. He was kind of joking around, but also being half serious. And I think I can say that I've learned just as much from my children as I have teaching them. I really truly believe that. And as a mentor, as one that helps other people on a one-to-one basis or a one-to-many basis. I've also mentored students at the middle school, elementary school, and high school. I've learned just as much from them that they have from me. You know, and I meet with one of my mentees still to this day, who's 23 years old and is really thriving in his life. He may not say that because he has all these goals and objectives, but I truly believe that. And he still introduces me to people as, or me as to other people, he introduces me as his mentor. And people are like, oh, really? I said, well, listen, you know, I was his mentor, but then a couple months into it, they reversed the tables and said that he should mentor me, you know, and I joke around like that, but generally, that's how I feel about a lot of these relationships that I have. And if you know me nearly and dearly, you certainly will understand that I have a passion for fostering and nurturing relationships, whether I'm being paid or not. That is a fact, and that's a passion of mine. And that's what I'm going after, regardless of what path I think I'm going to be taking. The ideal is the relationships. That's the goal. But the way to get to that goal, I may think it's going this way. Maybe going this way. So you have to bob and weave with life's obstacles and challenges. So the message today is listen to your children and learn from those around you. But I need to be quiet enough to do so.